I want to start with a prayer. If I could ask Don Harms to come say a prayer for us. That'll be followed by the pledge of the allegiance of the American and Texas flag. Rick, if you and JD would come up as well.
Let's bow our heads in prayer tonight, every head bowed and every eye closed. Heavenly Father, we're grateful that we live in such a nation that we can have the freedom to express our vote and choose our leaders. We pray tonight that you'd guide each one of us. I pray you'd be with each and every candidate tonight as they get up to speak. I pray that just give them a calmness, just an assurance, just let them just share their heart and let us make judgments. We want to thank you that we live in a county like Montgomery County, especially in this eastern side of it. We just pray that you'll just continue to bless us as you have with the growth and the economic prosperity and the schools growing and all this kind of thing. And so it's things like this tonight that makes the difference as we choose our leaders. So we pray that you just give us clarity of thought and especially be with the candidates tonight. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brother Don. A little something about Brother Don. When I ran for office the first time, he was my pastor, and he never would, endorse me or recognize me in the church. But every Sunday, he talked about his little weenie dog named Rowdy. To say our American flag pledge, this is, for those of you who don't know, our new director of our Chamber of Commerce, Rick Hatcher.
Thank you if you'll join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. J.D. Lambright, our county attorney, will lead our Texas pledge.
Please join me in the pledge to the Texas flag. I'll get this right yet. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, J.D. All right, we're going to have microphone problems. They told me this was going to happen when I got up here. The battery was going to go dead, so. The concerned citizens of East Montgomery County. First of all, I'm the president for this year. Commissioner Ed Reinhardt, where you at, Ed? Ed Reinhardt is our vice president. Our secretary is Rhonda Beacom. Isidore Rivera is our treasurer. And Barbara Egan is our program chairman. The Concerned Citizen Group was founded in 1983. Since then, we've held a political forum over the past 18 years. And up until now, and I don't know if there's any more yet, but it's always been the only political forum in East Montgomery County. The Concerned Citizens is here to provide the opportunity for the voting public to put a face with the name on the ballot and to hear each candidate's position. Also, we have a monthly meeting. We meet the first Monday of every month at 7:30 at the R.B. Tullis Library, which is right around the corner. That's a chance for you to come out and hear what's going on in your community. There's elected officials always there, department heads. We always have a guest speaker that comes to inform you of what's going on in your community. We always have some type of refreshment, so it's real informative event for you to come out to and learn what's going on in your community. Tonight, we have a few rules that we need to go over for candidates as well as audience members. First of all, there'll be no mudslinging. Do not be negative about your opponent. Instead, tell us about yourself. Tell us who you are and what you're here to do. When you're elected, tell us what you're going to do once you're elected. You have a total of 5 minutes to speak. We are not going to be mad if you give us time back. We have a lot of candidates tonight, so if you want to give us some time back, feel free. Before your 5 minutes is up, you'll receive a 1 minute warning. Isidore will tell you your one minute, and then when the buzzer goes off or Isidore tells you time is up, please discontinue your speech at that time. If we could ask the audience to hold your applause until the end of the candidate's speech. Do not interrupt, cause disruptions while the candidate is speaking. This is not a question and answer forum. This is basically an informative forum for you to learn what your candidate is going to do once elected. That being said, we'll try to, as candidates are going, we'll try to call the other ones up and have you come sit up on stage and maybe get this thing moving in order. We'll go in the order of the names on the ballot. Our first candidate is United States Representative District 8, Craig McMichael. Craig, are you here?
I'll be here in 20 minutes.
Okay. Next will be State Representative District 16. If I could get all District 16 candidates to come to the stage, please. Followed by that will be Justice 9th Court of Appeals. If those candidates would please stay over here on the wall and be ready to come up. Stay here. Thanks, Ray.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can y'all hear me in the back? Everybody can hear me? Thumbs up? Can you hear me? Cool. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jason Millsaps, and I'm running to be your next state representative. I was born and raised right here in East Montgomery County. I met my wife, Haley, while we were in high school at Caney Creek. We have a son who is 4 named Jonah. I've been in the business sector my entire adult life, running small to large corporations. I have a clear understanding of how to write a budget and to stay within that budget. My wife and I run our home on this model. I also understand that how the small business industry is driving the economic engine of this country. It is because of my business background and my love for this country that I've decided to run for this office. I wasn't asked to run for this office by any of my friends or business associates. I decided to run for this office because, like you, I was tired. I was tired of this White House telling us we had to purchase something that would do more harm than good. I was tired of this White House telling us that the government is better for our children than their parents. I was tired of wondering if the guns I own today, I won't own tomorrow. I was tired of this Congress circumventing our founding principles and eroding our Constitution. I was tired of watching our government take $1 trillion in debt every year, with no end in sight. So I decided to step up and do something about it. I launched my campaign back in August, and from day one, I have taken a stance on the issues facing our great state and the nation. Our education system in this state is broken. The reasons for this are very numerous, but there are a few things that we can do to dramatically improve the education for our future Texans. The time has come for us to work together to solve this problem before we lose future generations and the future of our state. Transportation is another issue that is facing our great state. I have a simple plan that will fund infrastructure projects without taking on new debt or taxes, by allowing our current growth to fund our future. My stance on gun control is simple. The Second Amendment reads that the people shall have the right to bear arms, and that right shall not be infringed, period. Immigration is another topic many politicians avoid. I stand firm on my beliefs that if the federal government refuses to enforce our current laws, then the state of Texas should. The Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986 is enough to stop the magnet that's driving the illegal immigration in this country. It's time we enforce it. Otherwise, the $12 billion we spend every year on illegal immigration will continue to rise. Next is our state and local debt. Overall, the debt held by government entities in Texas totals more than $268 billion. Montgomery County is not immune from this debt. Together, we owe about $3 billion. New Caney ISD is $250 million in debt alone. Debt today will equal taxes tomorrow. We have to get a handle on our debt levels fast before we are in a position to lose our great economic status. The local entities that set your property taxes that are in this debt will continue to raise those property taxes if we don't stop it. I will not support nor introduce any new taxes while in office. I will also not support any legislation that will force the local governments to take on new debt in order to comply with Austin. It's time we institute a debt commission whose sole purpose is to find waste, fraud, and abuse within the system and its budget, eliminating this waste and allowing us to use that savings to pay down our debt. We are told by many local politicians that our taxes have been lowered. This is more than misleading, it's an outright lie. When these politicians have lowered the tax rate, they did so knowing that our appraisals went up that year. Over the last 10 years, our appraisals have risen more than 9% countywide, while your income has fallen 5%, and the rate of inflation is stuck at 1.6%. I will work with other legislators to finally end this practice by capping the maximum a home's appraisal can rise in a given year to the rate of inflation. It's time we force our governments to balance their budgets and live within their means, just like we do at home. Texas remains the greatest state in the nation, but unless we have solid conservatives in our legislature that will stand up to the federal government and defend us from their unconstitutional overreach, we are doomed. It's time for us to return to a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, proclaimed Abraham Lincoln, before it perishes from this earth. Every day we learn something new of our elected officials that are doing to take away from our freedoms and liberty. While some will elaborately hide behind the issues, taking no stances on them, I am ready to fight for every one of you to restore our Constitution, restore our freedom and our liberty. I do not believe in buying your vote. I believe in earning it.
1 minute.
Thank you. The time for a ruling class of politicians has come to an end. Soon, patriots will take over again. I hope tonight I have earned your vote, and I would like to represent you in Austin as your next state representative. Join me after the event tonight. I can answer more questions in detail about what I stand for and some of the stances that I've talked about here tonight. God bless each and every one of you that are here tonight, and may God continue to bless the great state of Texas. Thank you.
Will Metcalf.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. Again, my name is Will Metcalf, running for State Representative for House District 16. To tell you a little bit about myself, why I'm here, I want to make a difference in our community. I was asked several months ago to run for this position as our current State Representative, Brandon Creighton, was seeking a different office. These phone calls and meetings came from community members from the community of which I grew up in. I'm a 6th-generation resident in Montgomery County. I will not forget about anybody in Montgomery County. I work at Spirit of Texas Bank and Commercial Lending. I'm Assistant Vice President and run our Conroe location. My wife and I have been married. We've got twin daughters that are 2 years old. My wife is a former school teacher, and now she stays at home with our girls until they reach school age, and she will go back to teaching. My leadership within our community runs very deep. I serve on many local boards and organizations, the Conroe Industrial Development Corporation Board. I'm also the finance chairman for that committee. Serve on the Greater Conroe Economic Development Council, the board of directors for the Montgomery County Fair Association, the Conroe Family YMCA, also the finance chair for that committee as well. My roots run deep, and you can find more about me personally on my website at willmetcalf.com. Will, what are you going to do for me when you're in office? First, education. I want to see that our teachers get back to teaching our children instead of teaching them to pass a standardized test. Our children are our #1 resources, and we need to be sure that they get the education that they need and that they deserve. They are our future. Immigration. Immigration is very important. Our federal government has failed us in this situation. My border pledge is to first, number one, secure our borders. As I stated, the federal government has not done their job. Number two, equip our law enforcement with the tools necessary to control our border. Number three, we need to end sanctuary cities, and we need to end it today. Sanctuary cities only invite illegal activity to come into our state. Also, I want to see done is more truth in taxation in our government. For example, the first bill that I plan to file is to reassign the sales tax dollars that you pay whenever you go buy a new vehicle at the car dealership. That money today, that sales tax money, goes into the general fund. And like I said, I'm a firm believer in truth in taxation. I want us to see us reassign that 6 1/4 sales tax to go into the transportation budget. What better way is truth in taxation than when you're paying that money, go to the roads that you pay on, that you drive that car on, rather than going into the general fund. Water is another issue. You know, different areas within our district have come up with new resources, such as the Catahoula Aquifer. It's a great way that we can explore new resources. I thought I was out of time. But anyways, water is an issue for us. New resources such as the Catahoula Aquifer, we can go in there, tap into that, and that will help our other aquifers, the Jasper and the Evangeline as well at the same time. Educating our public on conservation. I'm a member of Leadership Montgomery County right now, and our project is about water. We are installing rainwater harvesting systems in 3 locations within our community. And at these 3 locations, we will be educating the public on what they can do to help this situation as well. Again, my name is Will Metcalf. I will not forget about anybody in our district and also nobody in East Montgomery County. I appreciate y'all so much. I'm always able to be reached on the phone. My cell phone number's on every printed material that I have regarding this campaign. My personal email addresses is on there. Just whatever you need, please give me a call. I'll always have an open door policy, and I look forward to being your next state representative. Thank you.
Gary Louie.
Will's too tall. I'm Gary Louie. I'm a first-generation American and a native Texan. My father and his family came to this country early in the last century, where they were given the opportunity to be successful as entrepreneurs. I had the joy of being able to bus tables and wash dishes in their restaurant. My mother was a single mom who kept the books for in-laws, and she also was a part-time in the secretarial pool of an insurance company in San Antonio, and after 30 years she retired as an honored executive of USAA Insurance. I have a deep background in Texas, and I have a deep background in business, and I have a deep background in community service. I came to Montgomery County in 1979, where I went into business in the automotive repair business until 2001. During that time, and over the next 30 years, I served the community both as a volunteer in area nonprofits, as well as an elected official as the mayor of Oak Ridge North, and on the Town Center Improvement District Board, a function very similar to your East Montgomery County Improvement District. As mayor, I worked in the legislature to consolidate the government of Oak Ridge North and lower the taxes for our residents. As a Town Center Improvement District Board, I worked with the legislature to develop economic development incentives that were good for all of Montgomery County. As a volunteer, I worked in the halls of the legislature on behalf of the YMCA to help secure after-school programs for children of working families. And I also worked on behalf of the Friendship Center to assure that we had quality transportation, nutrition, and social programs for senior adults throughout Montgomery County. The reason I'd like to serve as your state legislature goes back to 1992. Unfortunately, at that time and over the years, we've had exceptional state leadership, both in the House as well as the Senate, and many of you in this room know all those men that have served in that House. When Brandon decided to move to a different position, I looked carefully at this seat and I waited for other figures to step forward in District 16 to take a leadership role. I reached a point where by the time we reached the filing date, there was no other figure that with a greater level of experience and depth of knowledge than me. And I stepped forward. And I look forward to that opportunity. What I see in District 16 is a diversity from East Montgomery County through Conroe, Willis, Panorama, all the way to the lake communities, including Montgomery and Bentwater. And the issues that the state will be facing are the basic infrastructure issues of education, transportation, water, and to a certain degree, health care. By far, Texas is the brightest star of economy in the nation. And Montgomery County is the brightest star in the state of Texas. And I will tell you, and I will contend, that there's three strong economic engines in Montgomery County.
1 minute.
The Woodlands, the Lake Community, and East Montgomery County. And my role will be to act as your ambassador to ensure that every entity in East Montgomery County, New Caney Independent School District, Splendora School District, the many municipalities here, the East Montgomery Improvement District, have the tools necessary for the economic success along the 59 corridor. We're at a point where you telling me I'm over with? I'm Gary Louie. I have the deepest amount of experience of all the candidates in the race, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Steve Simonson. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I've known Rowdy since about 1995, and I've seen him dressed up in a lot of different ways. But this is the first time I've ever seen that man in a suit. Let's give him a hand for that. As I said, my name is Steve Simonson, and I am originally from Houston and moved up here to begin my law practice back in 1993. I am a former Marine, and after the Marine Corps, I went back to college, and then I got married and went to work with my dad in the highway and heavy construction business. Worked there for a number of years until he decided to retire, and then I went back and got my law degree and got a job up here in Montgomery County working for a bankruptcy trustee. And in 2001, we moved up here because I got tired of the commute, and I figured this was a much better place to live than down in Houston, and I was right. I have been married 32 years to my wife, Jill. We have 4 children, 3 boys and a girl. Both the oldest 2 boys, one of them just got out of the Army, and the other one is out of the Air Force, and one of them's at Texas A&M right now, and the other one's at Colorado State. My daughter is over in Finland as a foreign exchange student, where she's seeing a completely different side of life, along with lots of cold and no sun. And my youngest is a 16-year-old who's a sophomore at Montgomery High School. That's kind of my background, and it gives you an idea of why I'm running for this office. I think that Montgomery County is going through many, many changes, and over the next 10 years, folks who grew up here won't be able to recognize it. I think that's probably true for a lot of us already. And the thing about change is you have to do your best to manage it. Now, you can't, because that's just the way change is, but you want to do the best that you can at it. The areas that I think
that we need improvement on are education. Right now we have an education system that really programs our kids for the 19th and 20th century, and we need an education system that brings them into the 21st century so that they can understand what it is that they're going to do in life. For instance, at Montgomery High School, they don't even have computer programming classes. Now, in this day and age, every kid ought to come out of high school with the knowledge of how to program a computer. That's just that simple. The other issues that we have with respect to education are most of the education is designed to send a child to college, and we know that that doesn't provide for over 50% of our children. Over 50% of our children are going to come out and go to work. They might go to college later, but they need a better job opportunity than working down at the McDonald's. And that's what I want to do when I go to the legislature.
1 minute.
The next issue is the transportation. We need better infrastructure in this county. As we grow, we're going to have to make sure that we can do what we need to do as far as getting to work, getting around, and having a quality of life. Finally, the development needs to be such that we maintain our quality of life in this county so that it stays a place that we love to be at and enjoy coming home to. Again, my name is Steve Simonson, and I'm asking for your vote in the District 16 race. Thank you.
Ted Seago.
I don't know about you, but I have learned so much tonight by listening to these guys. We've run around together a lot. We love each other, and we are growing as candidates, right? What a time it is a great time it is to be in Montgomery County, because we're blessed to live in the Garden State. We're blessed to live in the Garden County and the Garden District as well, and our opportunities are even great. Even if Grand Texas makes it here, even without Grand Texas, we have a great opportunity here in East Montgomery County. Now, I'm a throwback candidate, tell you up front about that. I think a state rep ought to represent all the district, north, south, east, and west. I think you would agree with that, because everybody needs to be heard, because everyone has something to contribute to this great county. I'm excited about the opportunities that we have as Texans to reshape our education and to solve our water problems. And as you've been hearing, all the infrastructure issues that we have. We're a dynamic republic, and we want to improve our living for everyone in the state of Texas as well as our district here in District 16. Now, Montgomery County is a fast-growing county. We've got some major decisions to make. We need to select new leadership across the board, especially in the State House area, and we need to be prepared for that. We need to have someone that you're going to send to Austin that has the experience. Now, why am I running? Honestly, I was asked to run because I was in Austin. I've been in Austin the last 3 sessions as a patriot, as a citizen like you, just standing up for conservative values and principles. I've been there defending all the bills, the good bills, and then trying to put down the bad bills. I love being there. I've been in session. I was in the 83rd, 82nd, and 81st, and I'm blessed to have learned so much from being there in Austin for the last 3 sessions. With that, because I'm there, I have so many endorsements. I'm endorsed by the Montgomery County Tea Party, the Texas Patriot PAC, the Texans for Physical Responsibility, the Young Conservative Texas, the Conservative Republicans of Texas, Texas Right to Life, and the list goes on, simply because I was there. I've been in Austin. I've been there fighting for conservative values. These leaders know what I stand for, what I've done there in Austin for you. Now, you may not know me, Ted Seago, and I don't blame you. I wouldn't either if I'm over on the lake area. But I know that you need to get to know me, because I represent you. I really am the heart of what we stand for, because I've been married for 35 years to my wife, Johnny. I met her when I was 3 years old. She was in nursery with me. She was my mother was a nursery worker, and I was 3, and she walked in, and I said, "Who's the new babe?" You know, I mean, it's amazing that we've been together that long. In 15 years, we've had 8 children. We've raised 8 children and 3 more teenagers up on Lake Conroe. We've adopted 5 of those kids. I have a son that's a U.S. Marine, and now we have 11 grandchildren. My son John, you may know him better, he wrote the sonogram bill. He wrote the preborn pain bill, and he wrote the omnibus bills, and I was there in Austin helping get those bills passed. I've served a pastor as 39 years. Our church votes 100%, 95 to 100% every election, because being a citizen should be an outpouring of discipleship. Been an educator for 25 years. I'm a headmaster, a classroom teacher, and also a college professor. I have a degree and a bachelor's degree in education, a master's, and a doctor of education degree. I love education. And speaking of that, I'm a small business owner. As an education consultant, we offer classes to students here in Montgomery County. And it's an exciting time for education. We can go from 27th to number 1. And Greg Abbott's going to lead the way along that path. But we as representatives have to come up with ideas. And I have a lot of good ideas about education. I have a lot of ideas about how we can change the paradigm of the way of thinking. We have to have more parental choice and parental involvement. But we've got to give our parents something to think about and some options to make. And you as parents, you just put your kids on the yellow school bus. It's easy to do. But if you have to start giving input on how we educate our children, you will get involved. That's what Montgomery County does. We are passionate people, and we will get involved. The home rule school district, where we encourage creativity, and we encourage people to think outside the box. We encourage our instructors and our administrators and our parents and our school boards to understand education and to come up with creative and innovative ways to meet the education needs of the future. That's what I'm about. I like for parents to get involved in there. We have other issues in transportation and property, taxes. You can read about that on my website. But I just want to tell you, I do have the life experience. I do have the legislative experience. I do have the education experience and the business experience. And I've been vetted and endorsed by a lot of groups here in Texas. So if you're looking for a conservative Republican candidate, that's not me. But if you're looking for an ultra-conservative Christian constitutional patriot, that's what I'd like to be. And that's what I'd like to take you to Austin. Amen? Thank you.
Thank you all. Next will be the judge for the Ninth Court of Appeals, Earl Stover. After that, if we could get the Senate District 4 candidates to come line up to be next.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Judge Earl Stover, and I'm running for the Ninth Court of Appeals. The Ninth Court of Appeals is the intermediate appellate court that serves 10 counties, including the entirety of Montgomery County. It goes as far as to Jefferson and Orange, up to Newton, Jasper, Hardin, Tyler, San Jacinto, Liberty, and Polk counties. So it's about the size of the state of Connecticut. And I've only bought one new set of tires in this race, but I'm wearing them out and trying to meet people and asking them for their vote. I'd like to thank Rowdy and the concerned citizens here tonight for sponsoring this forum, and the ladies that are making the coffee and providing the refreshments. It's a great undertaking, and this is how democracy works, and I'm honored that Texas retains the right to elect their judges. And I'm asking to be elected to be your judge. Now, my qualifications are I have been a district judge for the last 17 years, serving both Hardin and Tyler County. So I'm used to a multi-county district. I've also, as a district judge, tried thousands or presided over thousands of criminal, civil, domestic, juvenile, and probate cases. Just this morning, I had my criminal docket, and we sent a few to Huntsville today because they had violated the laws that we hold dear. I believe that everyone should have a fair and impartial trial, but limitless appeals are not good for the system, and one fair and impartial trial would be adequate. On the Court of Appeals, I would look carefully at every case, because as a district judge, I will be able to look into the transcripts and read the transcripts, and I will be able to identify with what happened, because as a district judge for 17 years, I've seen thousands of cases. So I'll know whether or not the judge had a good day or a bad day, and be able to rule accordingly. A little bit about my family life. I hope everyone got one of my cards, because it has a beautiful picture of my wife and two beautiful daughters. Jan and I have been married 28 years. We're from Silsbee, Texas. We attend St. John's Episcopal Church in Silsbee. She's a perennial senior warden, and I'm a perennial usher. That is not as good a job for me. We have two daughters. Elise graduated from LSU, and she's living in Dallas and getting her real estate license. My daughter Jana just got her master's degree in structural engineering and started her first day of work today at Walter P. Moore down in Houston. So I'm going to go call her and see how her first day went. I don't know when I'll get my credit card back, but at least she got her diploma. I got the debt, but I'm so very proud of both of my daughters. And as a family man, I'm grounded in traditional family values. And as a Court of Appeals justice, I will look at everything knowing that how the decisions of the court affect individuals. Because as a district judge, I have looked into the eyes of parents that have had custody disputes. I've looked into the eyes of people that are accused of crimes. I've looked at people that have been hurt in car wrecks, and I've looked at people whose loved one has died and they're having a family dispute over the probate of their will. I'm the only judge in the race that has judicial experience, and I look forward to serving you in the Ninth Court of Appeals. Also, as a district judge, I'm used to monitoring lawyers for their time. And so I'm going to be self-restraint tonight and give you back some of your time because there's a lot of other candidates. Didn't that time it get? Thank you.
We're going to switch up order a little bit here. One of the candidates for state senator District 4's wife was in an accident. He had to step out. He's going to be right back. So we're going to switch it up a little bit and give him some time. Make it yet?
Here he is.
Come on down, District 8.
Good evening. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. This is a good crowd. God bless you for taking your time. My name is Craig McMichael. I'm running for United States Congress in the 8th Congressional District. I'll tell you a little about myself. After I graduated high school from Oak Ridge over in the Conroe Independent School District, I joined the United States Marine Corps. From there, I served 10.5 years in our country. I did 3 combat tours, 2 humanitarian missions, and I went to a little over 33 nations. It was that experience that led me to understand one simple truth about this country. The United States of America is pure and simply the greatest nation on the face of this earth. There's not a nation that's close to what we offer or what we provide, what we give our citizens on a day-to-day basis. So after I served, I came home and I discovered a country I didn't quite recognize. I didn't understand it. There were things about it that left me wondering what was going on. We had a government that seemed to be overgrowing its size and scope. Anybody that reads understands the government has 18 enumerated powers. If it's not one of those powers, it's supposed to be left to the states. And those long ago got cast aside by current politicians. And so I started getting confused. I started praying, asking myself, what do you do, Craig? How do we fix this problem? Because 18 years ago this year, I raised my right hand and I swore an oath to defend this nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I was home and I realized we have domestic enemies in our country, and they're residing in Washington, D.C. So I came to the conclusion, a simple problem. The problem with our government is it's full of politicians, and it's dying for a patriot. It's dying for men and women who love this country and are willing to sacrifice everything they have in defense of this Constitution to keep our nation strong. And that's what I'm offering. I'm offering somebody who's spent their entire life fighting for the United States of America. Somebody who would no longer stand by and watch our Constitution be trampled and vote for debt ceiling increases or TARP bailouts or allow the NSA to spy on your phones. Somebody who would stand strong and not allow the federal government to monitor your internet without a warrant. Somebody who would not support the Patriot Act, the TSA, or the Department of Homeland Security. See, long ago, our founders had a dream. Our founders had the simple vision that this great nation would be little bitty individual experiments in democracy. Each one of those experiments being the states. Each state having its own rules and regulations, and if you didn't like something your state was doing, you could move, take your tax dollars and go somewhere else. It wasn't for the federal government to overrun our lives and control us. They're not a parental unit. Our freedoms are birthrights from God. They are not a gift given to us by our government. We don't need our government to tell us how to live our daily lives. It's time as citizens that we stand up and shed the blanket of fear and realize that we, the people, are the government, and we should have no fear of it. The federal government should be afraid of us and our ballot box and what we can do. If we send the right men and women to the United States Congress, to Washington, D.C., we can take our country back. So that's my plan. Simple plan. How do you do it? Well, me alone, I can do nothing. I can offer my courage and my strength. I can promise you that as long as there's air in my lungs, I will always talk about God, the Constitution, and the greatness of this country. I will not stand aside and allow anybody to push me away. I will not be intimidated or bribed. I will not allow outside interests to buy my votes. I will be beholden to the people of this district and to the constituents that I ask to serve.
I want to leave you with this thought. The Craig McMichael for Congress campaign is not about Craig McMichael. It has the name because you need to know who to vote for on March 4th. But this is about a dream of freedom, something our founders left us and something I want to return. Because one day Craig McMichael will be dead and gone, and it's going to take other patriots to stand up and carry this dream forward. God bless you. I thank you for your time, and I'll stand around afterwards and talk to whoever wants to talk. Thank you.
Next, we have the Senate District 4 candidates come on up. After that, will the candidates for county judge please wait in the hallway. First will be Brandon Creighton. Come on up.
How's everybody? Good? That's what it's all about, right? Yeah, being part of the process and making sure that government is accountable and responsible to the people. It starts right here locally at home, and being involved, participating in these forums, knowing who your candidates are, and at the same time, why don't we give all these candidates a round of applause, because it's tough committing yourself to public service. So, you know, I know many of you, I've been fortunate enough and privileged to have your support over the last few years in serving in the Texas House as one of your state representatives for East Montgomery County. This is my 4th term, and with Tommy Williams resigning his Senate seat mid-term, that has created a vacancy in the Senate District 4 seat that represents this area, all of Montgomery County, excluding the lake, part of Kingwood and Humble, attaching Chambers and Jefferson County over to Beaumont, Bolivar, and a little bit of Galveston proper. So my point in emphasizing that is 2 things: that your current state Senate seat is vacant, and number 2, that the election is in May, on May the 10th, because it's a special election filling that seat, and it was not able, the governor did not get it situated to be on the March primary ballot. It has to be on the May ballot following. So that's kind of confusing, but very important in what I believe to be one of the most important political positions in America is your state Senate seat, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But again, I'm born and raised in Montgomery County. I'm the 8th generation of my family to be here in this area. My wife, Fawn, who's a tennis player from Oklahoma State, she runs a hospital here locally. My little girl, Presley, who's 11, who entered politics last year when she switched went from the 3rd grade to the 4th grade, switched schools, ran for student body president, won by 1 vote in the runoff. And after that, the next year, she took a hiatus from politics and said it was hard, really hard. So now she's in softball. I'm really glad of that, because boys are starting to talk to her and she knows how to swing a bat like nobody's business. My little boy's 4, Cannon, and he just wishes he was involved in everything she's involved in. But one thing that's important to me is I care about the Texas my kids inherit, and I know you do too. And Texas is the last stand. We all know that we have failed leadership in the White House. Who here expects Congress to fix our problems quickly? Not many. So with that being said, Texas is the last stand, and this nation needs a strong Texas, right? 1,300 people a day moving here. Our economy and all of our economic variables are so strong compared to California, New York, and Michigan, and all these states that have been on the federal dole for years. Now they're asking, how is Texas doing it? And we're showing them. But we need someone in the Senate district seat that is proven in performance. We need experience in that position. It's such an important position, and in my opinion, one of the most important political positions in America, because it is the last stand for protecting our state's sovereignty and our state's rights. In 2009, I filed House Concurrent Resolution 50 and passed that measure in the House, and crickets were chirping when I announced that we need to reaffirm our state's sovereignty under the 10th Amendment. Now both parties are running on it years later. The 10th Amendment and what traditionally should have been state issues is being trampled on, and we see the "Don't Tread on Me" symbols all over the state on the back of our cars. But the 10th Amendment needs to continue to be reaffirmed, not just for the public, but for our politicians that do not understand that ceding control to the federal government in issues like energy exploration and national education standards and banking regulations and so many of our personal freedoms and liberties that have been trampled on. I've covered these issues and worked hard to promote these issues in the legislature in my time in the House. It's time to go to the Senate. I'm proud to have passed drug treatment, or drug testing for unemployment benefits. I plan to carry a bill to expand that to all entitlements and welfare for welfare recipients. I'm proud to have worked hard and fought for our natural resources and worked hard to pass water conservation measures for our county. We're really experiencing tough issues there, and I need your vote and your support and to stand with me for what we need to do to keep Texas strong and be out front for Senate District 4, and East Montgomery County can make that difference in the Texas Senate. Brandon Creighton, I would appreciate your vote, and my family would as well. Thank you very much.
Steve Toth.
Hello, I'm State Representative Steve Toth, representing House District 15. I had the pleasure of serving with Brandon this past year in the Texas House in the 83rd Legislative Session. I've been married for 30 years to Babette. I have 3 children. My daughter Katie just this past year graduated from the University of Texas at Austin with honors. We're ever so proud of her. I have a 17-year-old boy at home and a 22-year-old boy. I am an ordained minister. I'm also a teaching elder, and I'm also a small business owner, having started 2 businesses here in the Woodlands. And I have roughly 12 employees. The reason I got into politics in the first place is the 81st legislative session passed legislation to control my industry, control my business, and it nearly put me out of business. I was so angry when I found out about the legislation. I told my wife, I said, honey, I'm so angry, I should just run. And she said, well, don't talk about it, do it. And Henry Ford once said, you know, you can't build a reputation based on what you're going to do, you base it on what you do. And I gained a reputation over the first session as someone who really listens to his constituents and someone that doesn't talk about conservative values, but someone that is a conservative, which is why I've gained the endorsements of nearly every conservative grassroots group across the state of Texas, including Texas Right to Life, the Texas Homeschool Coalition, Concerned Women for America of Texas, and on and on and on. Folks, we get it that we're going to have problems with Washington. We understand that. Their values are not our values. But here's what I do not understand. I don't understand why we should have to fight Austin. I don't understand why we should have to fight liberal House leadership. They call themselves Republicans, and they are counter to everything we hold dear in Montgomery County. In November of this past year, we voted on a resolution that spending should not increase any faster than population growth adjusted for inflation. 94% of us voted for that. You can't get 94% of the people to agree on what color this carpet is. And I don't know what color that carpet is. You know, we couldn't even get that bill out of committee this year. We have 95 Republicans in the House, nearly a 2/3 majority in the House, nearly a 2/3 majority in the Senate. We couldn't get that bill out of committee. Does that sound like a conservative leadership to you? Joe Strauss is the leader of the House. He's the Speaker of the House, and he's one of the most liberal House speakers in our history. And until we make a change in the leadership in Austin, we are not going to be able to protect the values that we hold so dear, and we are not going to be able to turn over a conservative future to our children that we have inherited. We started the 83rd legislative session with an $8.8 billion, that's not million, that's billion dollar surplus. We then increased spending 15%, and we never took care of roads. We never took care of water. It's criminal. Some said, well, we should just raise taxes. Folks, we're awash in cash at the state level, and we're not taking care of the needs. As a small business owner, when I plan my budget, I plan first to take care of my needs and then my wants. The state is doing the exact opposite. They're pandering to the Democrats to take care of the Democrats' needs first and wants, and y'all's, our constituents, the people of Texas, last. And it's wrong. I gained a reputation as someone that not only listens to the constituents, but fights for them. And I want to fight for you in Senate District 4. I hope you'll have your support and your vote. I'm Steve Toth, and I'd appreciate that very much. Lord bless you, and Lord bless Texas. Thank you.
Gordy Bunch. It's not you, is it?
I am not Gordy Bunch. Unfortunately, there was an accident, so when you're leaving tonight, plan accordingly. His wife was in an accident, him and his child, Riley. They are perfectly fine. The other vehicle that was in the accident, unfortunately, they're not okay. Everyone is alive, but there was life flight. So actually, I would like to take some time to say a prayer. If we could just bow our heads and pray for the accident. We'll just do that silently for a few seconds. Thank you. Like I said, I just got an update from him. Life flight just arrived. His family is fine. He said he's one of the most grateful people in the room, and he will be forever grateful for his family that they weren't hurt. But his thoughts and prayers are with the family that were. Like I said, I'm not Gordy Bunch. I'm his field director for the Woodlands area, Kingwood, New Caney, all this side of town that reaches all the district all the way out to Beaumont. This is a very eclectic, diverse district, and Gordy would be extremely proud to represent it. He has grown a company, which you could read in this fine brochure that he would love to pass out to you once he gets back from the accident site. He's grown a company from $10,000 to a multi-million-dollar company. He can do that for the state of Texas. He can do that for this district. Let me read some of his achievements. He's currently on the board of directors for the Woodlands Township. There he has lowered taxes time and time again. If you want a record, look at that. It's not just about what you say, it's about what you do, and he has lowered taxes. Also, he was recently appointed the president of the Conventional Visitors Bureau of the Woodlands Township. Let's see, he donates to many, many charities. He is an Ironman, not only a contributor, but also a runner. Let me read my final statement from him. This is directly from Gordy. All right, Gordy, like myself, we are both veterans. He cares about the people. He cares about this community. We have everyone on staff and all the volunteers. We are a eclectic group as well, just like this district. I'm a veteran. He's a veteran. We have senior citizens. We have people that just graduated high school. He would be truly honored to represent you as your next Texas senator for this district. Time and time again, he says that our future or our best generation is often quoted as being in the past. Well, it's time to stop that discussion, not because it's not true, but because we need to focus on the future. And to focus on the future, we have to be proactive. And so we need to make sure that our greatest generation is in the future, tomorrow. And we can do that together. And that's why you should elect Gordy Bunch to be your next state senator on May 10th. Thank you.